In this short video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to set up Google Tag Manager for your business. I'm also going to explain what Tag Manager is and go through some of the key functionality within the platform so you're familiar with it and you know how to set it up. Make sure you watch this video all the way to the end so you fully understand the capabilities of Tag Manager. This is going to be the basics that I'm going to cover in this video, and I'll do future videos covering exactly how to set up more advanced implementations of Tag Manager. But this is going to teach you everything you need to know to get started right away. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Jack Newman, and let's jump into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is head over to Google Tag Manager, and to get there you're going to go to tagmanager.google.com, and that's going to take you up to this screen, and then you're going to sign in with your Google credentials. So I'm just going to sign in with an account I don't normally use, just so that we can see exactly how it would be setting this up from the beginning. If you don't have a Google Ads account, you're going to want to set that up. Then you're going to want to use that for your Google Tag Manager accounts. So once you've signed in, it's going to take you to this welcome screen. Now, this welcome screen is going to be where you can navigate to a different account. So by clicking on the accounts tab up at the top, it'll actually show you all of your different ones. At the moment, there isn't one, so we're going to actually create one. As well as having your own Google Tag Manager account, you can also get access to other people. So if you're an agency owner, you can request access. They can add you via your email address, invite you to their Google Tag Manager property, and you can then manage the Tag Manager for them as an agency. We do this with all of our clients. So the first things you're going to want to do is click create account. It's going to ask you some details. So I'm just going to use this one. I'm just going to put UKB Marketing, which is the name of our company. I'll just put test at the end just so we know it's a test. I'm not going to tick this box, share data anonymously with Google and others. It's up to you. If you do that, you can click on there to kind of read what that exactly entails. And then the container setup as well. So I'm just going to put our website address, so www.ukbmarketing.com. Okay. This is where you can choose the type of platform. So do you want it to be a web container, which you do mostly, or do you want it to be a server-side container? And there's some others here as well. So the key ones that we use with our clients is going to be a web container. That's for 99% of the time. And then we also set up a server-side container if we're doing things like implementing the conversions API Facebook pixel setup, which there is another video explaining exactly how to do that, and I'll link it in the description. So if you're here kind of looking at how to set up the Facebook conversions API, you can set up Tag Manager using this tutorial, and then you can click the link in the description to watch my full tutorial on how to implement that with browser and server-side data. So for now, I'm going to choose web. That's going to be the most common type. It's going to give me some terms and conditions, which I'll tick, and I'll click yes, and then we're good to go. So now we're going to set up the account. You can see here, it's going to load up. Now, the first thing it's going to do is tell us to install the Google Tag Manager code. Now, we don't have to do this right away, so I will just X out of this. However, if you want to, you can start copying these scripts and going through the setup. So I'm just going to close it for now. So now we have our account. I'm just going to walk through a very brief overview of what each of the kind of tabs and functionality does, and then I'm going to go through and actually set it up with you and show you how you would do this. So you've got your overview tab here, which is going to give you an overview of the account. You've got your tags. This is where you actually install things. So I think before we move forward, we should talk about what Google Tag Manager is and just give you a brief overview of what the platform actually does. So Google Tag Manager is essentially a piece of code that you put inside your website, and then it's going to give you the ability to add additional scripts that load up either dynamically on certain pages based on URLs, based on certain triggers. So interactions with, like, when someone clicks a button, it can load up a script. And all this will happen without you needing to install additional scripts onto your website. So you have your website or your funnel or your landing page. Maybe it's a Shopify store, maybe it's a WordPress store, maybe it's a ClickFunnels sales funnel. And right now you might have your Facebook script inside the additional code section. You might have your Google Ads tag. You might have some other analytics scripts in there. You might have some other third-party high-res scripts. You might have a lot of different things, okay, in there. Now, it doesn't matter where these scripts come from. You might just be putting them in, and there's typically like tracking codes. You might be putting them on specific pages, like a thank you page. You might be putting them just on the head of your entire website, so it loads on every single page. When you have Tag Manager, you can put the Tag Manager code inside your website, and then from there, what you can do is you can use it to install and to deploy all of your other scripts onto your site without the need, like I said earlier, to install them directly. So it's going to make it a lot easier for development, because then you don't have to keep going back. If you're not familiar with how to actually add scripts to a site, you don't have to keep going back to a developer and saying, can you add this script here? Can you add that script there? And the other advantage is you can trigger these scripts to load based on certain events. So be that a specific page that's been visited, maybe someone's clicked on a button, maybe someone's completed a form, whatever it is. Tag Manager can pick these things up. And again, there's a few dependencies as to what they can pick up and what they can't, depending on the platform that your site is built on and a few other variables, which I'm not going to go into in this video. But essentially you can leverage Tag Manager to deploy scripts, and you can then use triggers to decide when those scripts are going to be deployed on your live site. So what are the real world use cases for Tag Manager? Well, to be honest, there's a few main ones that we use, so I'm just going to cover the ones that I like to use Tag Manager for. We use it to deploy any type of tracking script. So if we have Google Analytics, we're going to be installing it through Tag Manager. If we're setting up GA4, for example, that's all going through Tag Manager for us. We're going to put the Facebook pixel code into Tag Manager rather than directly on the store. And that's where it ties into linking with a conversion API integration, where we're having a server-side Tag Manager container as well. And that means we can send back high quality data from both the browser and the server, which is the preferred way of doing things post iOS 14 in terms of Facebook. We're also going to use it to deploy the Google Ads conversion. So when we want to report back to Google Ads saying, look, we've had a sale or a lead or an add to cart, we want that to be deployed through Google Tag Manager, and then make it very easy to set these things up without the need to kind of go in and code a lot of stuff. So it's really easy to use. Again, any sort of other third-party tracking scripts, we can use it for things like enabling and disabling cookies, depending on how that's done. So depending on the platform that you're using to build your website on, and depending on the easiest way to do that. For many of our customers and for our own business, we use Google Tag Manager to deploy a script that will actually limit the cookies that display or that are active, dependent on whether someone has accepted our cookies policy or not, and that's all done via Tag Manager. So there's tons and tons of functionality, and I will make future videos discussing the more advanced capabilities. The key thing that I would recommend, if you're here, you'll probably already know that there's some benefit to this. It's great to, like I say, deploy third-party scripts and other tracking tools directly on your site without the need to go in and code it, or add the code to each individual page or site each time. Okay, so what are tags? So tags is where you're going to actually set up some of these scripts and add some of this functionality. So when you click new in the top right hand corner, you can actually choose the tag configuration. So for example, you can click here and they already give you a list of them for ones you might want to be deploying. So GA4, for example, a GA4 configuration or a GA4 event, Google Ads conversion tracking, Google Ads remarketing, and you've got a bunch here. You can also choose custom HTML if you want to actually install something custom. This could be the Facebook pixel, for example. Now for the Facebook pixel, it's a little bit more advanced. We don't use the custom HTML. We use something completely different. Again, there's links in the description to those Facebook pixel tracking tutorials, which you can watch, which will explain a little bit more how to do that. I'm not going to go into it in this video. You can see there's a whole host though of different options here in terms of tags that you can deploy straight away. And you can have a look at these, and of course you can go to the template gallery here as well, and you can start searching some up, and you can even install them and upload them yourself if you've downloaded one from another third party. Okay, so there's lots here to look at and there's lots here to leverage. So I'm just going to go back for now. Then you've got triggering. Okay, so for example, let's just say the tag configuration. Let's take an example. I want to set up just the Google remarketing tag. So I want Google Ads to be able to track everyone that visits my site, and I want to be able to then remarket to them. Okay, so I might just put Google Ads, give it a name, remarketing tag. Okay, I'm going to click tag configuration. Here I would choose Google Ads remarketing. It's going to tell me that the conversion link tag missing container. Fine, let's click create. That's no problem at all. Just put Google Ads conversion linker. Perfect. And save that just to get rid of that error. That's fine. Now here we would start adding our conversion ID, which again, it tells you where you can find that, and the conversion label optional. So we'll be adding those variables in. Again, I'm not going to do that right now, it's not important. This is where we start to configure some of those things, okay? The next part down here is triggering. Now, triggering means where do you actually want this to display? Where do you want this tag to take place? Is it on all pages? Is it on some pages? So if it's the Google Ads remarketing tag, we would just choose all pages because it doesn't really matter. We want it to pick up every single person. If this was, for example, a script, let's say we change this one to Google Ads conversion tracking. So maybe this conversion event that we're tracking is actually a lead event. Okay, so let's change that one to Google Ads lead. Okay, so maybe they're doing that. We might not want it to display on every single page. And again, just for completeness here, I'm not filling this out. You would obviously be filling all of this details out. I'm not doing that for speed of just showing you how the platform works rather than showing you how to set up a Google Ads conversion event. Under triggering, we wouldn't necessarily want it to be on all pages. So I'm going to remove that, and instead I'm going to click here. We might want it on some pages, so we can actually choose that by clicking the plus in the top right corner. We can give this a name, so let's just call this one like thank you page. Maybe that's where we want it to display. We can click on the center there to bring up some options. We could choose page view, some page views, and again, you can choose the page URL. So it could just be, it must contain ukbmarketing.com/thank you, something like that. I can save that. That means that this tag is only going to fire on that thank you page. It's not going to fire on every single other page on my site. It's just going to fire when the parameters match ukbmarketing.com/thank you. So I can save that, for example. Obviously it's telling me I need to fill those details in, which I'm not going to do. But that would give me a tag, okay? That would give me my first tag. And again, I've not had to install this directly or do anything in terms of coding on the website. We haven't put Tag Manager into the website yet, which we're going to do in just a moment, once we finish going through some of these options on the left-hand side. But that would be how we would set this up, okay, just to be completely clear. Now, triggers, again, is kind of what we just went through. So this is where we can actually set up, you can see the thank you page that we created earlier as a trigger, that is set up. So we can add more triggers in this section as well, if we haven't already done it when we're setting up the tag, okay? Variables is really cool. So variables is essentially, you have built-in variables and you've got user-defined variables. So we can actually use this for creating constant variables where we want to, for example, use a specific string or like pixel ID, for example, and we want to use it over and over again, but we don't want to have to keep remembering it and copying and pasting it. So we can add a user-defined variable, for example, Facebook pixel ID. We could click on the plus there, and it gives you a lot of different options. So again, these can be all types of variables, but you can scroll down, you could choose something like a constant, and you could just put the variable in there. So just imagine that's my pixel ID, something like that. I could save it. And then every time I want to use that variable, it will give me the option. So if we go back to tags, for example, let's say I'm creating a new tag. Let's say again, it's Google Ads and conversion tracking. For example, here, I could use that plus variable sign, and I could then choose Facebook Pixel ID, seeing it's going to populate it there. I don't have to keep remembering it or going back to my ads manager and finding it. So variables can be used across your tags, and it can be extremely useful. There's built-in variables as well, so you can see some of these. We have things like the click element. So if you enable these click element, click ID, click target, click URL, if you enable some of these form elements as well, what it's going to do is it's going to start pulling some of this data from different elements that are categorized as forms, for example. So the click ID is quite useful, and the click element is quite useful if you want to be able to trigger something based on when someone clicks a button. Okay, so you would have to enable, first of all, these built-in variables, so you could actually then find out what that variable is, and then you can set it as a trigger so that when someone clicks the button, it deploys a certain script or tag. Okay, so I'm not, again, going to go into that setup process in this video because it's going to make it extremely long. What I want to do here is just show you an introduction to Tag Manager and give you the overview of it. Some of this stuff, again, you can search up and they have documentation on themselves, or I will make additional videos as well to kind of go through this. You can select some of these, and that is going to give you more options there from your built-in variables. And you can see it's pulling this stuff from the data layer. So whichever site or platform you're using has to push that information through to the data layer. Otherwise, Tag Manager can't pick it up. Folders is not really something I ever use, but it's just a categorization of your tags essentially. And then you've got templates where you can install templates, or you can search. So you can search for tag templates in the gallery, which is the same as what I showed you earlier. And you've got your variable templates as well, which you can search for and or upload. So again, I'm not going to go too much into templates today in this video. I want to keep it simple. So far what we've done is we've looked at what are tags. We've looked at the beginnings of setting up a tag. If you're searching up how to use Tag Manager right now, the likelihood is you have something that you're looking to deploy on Google Tag Manager, but you just haven't set up Google Tag Manager before. So this tutorial should hopefully give you the ability to now understand how to go about doing that process. A lot of this will be dependent on what you are trying to do. So if you're trying to use the Facebook Pixel, you should be looking at the tutorial in the description. If you're looking at Google Ads, again, there's lots of documentation available for that, and I will create future videos on how to set that up. GA4, same thing. Okay, so let's go through the final process, which is going to be actually putting Tag Manager on our site so that it's ready to start using once we have our tag set up. So what you want to do is you want to click on admin, and from here what you want to do is you can see the container over here, and you want to click install Google Tag Manager, and that's just going to bring us back to that point where we had the code that we want to install, and that's what it showed us at the very beginning when we first created the account. So you can just click this copy here. And now what you want to do is you want to go over and you want to navigate to where you can actually put this code in the head section of your site. So I'm just going to go ahead and move over to Webflow, which is what we use for our website. And I'm just going to show you where you would put that. It's going to be very different dependent on if you have a Shopify store, you have to edit the theme and add that in. It's also going to be different if you have a ClickFunnels site, they have a section to add additional code. Whatever platform you're using, go high level, it's all going to be different. WordPress, again, you can use things like insert headers and footers. that's going to work as a plugin. There's also additional ways to set that up, which I'm not going to go into. So first of all, we're just going to copy that and let me navigate across to my website. Okay, so this is our website here. This is using Webflow, and you can see I already have a Google Tag Manager script in place. This is getting put inside the head section. So if I was going to install it, imagine that it's not there, all I would do is I would just put it inside the head section of my site, and I would click save. Okay, obviously I'm not going to do that because I already have it installed in terms of the one that we actually use within our website. Okay, so you're going to put this wherever is relevant for you based on the platform that you use. Once you've done that, you can also add into the body section of the website the additional script. So if I go back to Tag Manager over here, it says to paste this inside the body. This is not essential for the setup, if I'm honest with you. It's something additional you can add if you want to, but it's not going to actually affect the performance really 9 times out of 10. So you can leave that out if you don't want to install that inside the body tag. It's a little bit different. So the key one here is make sure this is installed in the head tag, and then you're good to go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch over to my live Google Tag Manager account I actually use for our business, and I'm just going to show you how you would test to make sure it's set up correctly. Okay, so this is our live Google Tag Manager account. Now, again, I'm just going to show you actually a couple of examples of the tags that we have set up, just so you can get an idea of this. So these are all Facebook conversion events, so Facebook lead, Facebook page view, and Facebook schedule. So if we just click on the Facebook lead tag here, you can see that we're using the AdsMarai Facebook Pixel and Conversions API template. You can see we've got the lead event. I'm using variables here, so you can see this Facebook Pixel ID. If I just edit that, you can see I'm using a variable, which is the Facebook Pixel ID, and I'm using the state URL variable, which again is another variable that I set up. And for triggering, you can see here I'm using a specific page URL. Okay, so I'm saying it must contain this URL for that tag to fire, and if it doesn't contain that URL, it's not going to fire. Okay, it's not going to actually activate that tag because I don't want Facebook thinking I've had a lead when I haven't. So that's just an example of how I'm doing things. Again, we have the LinkedIn tags over here, we've got the Google Ads tags over here. So this is a very light setup. This is not very complicated because we don't have a lot of events firing off for our own business, but I just thought it would be good to show you for completeness. Now, let's see how to actually test this. So what you want to do is you want to click on preview, and then once you've installed everything, of course, you're going to be able to enter your own website URL. So I'm just going to put in here ukbmarketing.com. You have to put https:// I'm going to click connect. And what it's going to do is it's going to load up the tag assistant. So now it's loading up our website over here, and you can see here it says Google Tag Assistant. It shows connected. And if I go back to the Tag Assistant again, it shows connected. Now, over here in the summary section, it's actually going to show me what has fired and what hasn't. So if you have your different tags, you can see here it's got the tags fired. So it's firing the Google Ads Basic, the Google Ads Conversion Linker, and the Cookie Consent Facebook Page View. Okay, so that's because I have previously consented to cookies on my own website. So what it's doing is it knows that, it's got that data, and it's therefore activating a tag for Facebook page view. Okay, if I had not done that, it wouldn't show the cookie consent. It would actually not fire that page view. Now, the tags that have not fired, and this is really important, is not fired the lead event for Google. It's not fired the Facebook page view because it's fired the cookie consent one. I have multiple. It's not fired the Facebook lead, which is great, or the schedule event, or the contact, or the LinkedIn tags either, which is good because I do not want those to fire on these pages. So again, this is really important. It's worth looking at what tags have not fired as well as which tags have fired. You can then go through your site in real time and you can submit inquiries. You can click on all the things that you would be clicking on that should fire the event, and you can then go back to Tag Assistant and you can see which tags are fired and which tags haven't. And that is the key piece here because that enables you to start seeing whether or not your setup is correct. And if it hasn't fired correctly, and you'll be able to get a list of your pages here. So for example, if I just click on inquire on our own website, it's going to load up the inquiry page. If I go back to Tag Assistant, you can see here we've got the different pages. So I can see which tags are fired here versus which tags are fired there. And you can see the contact event has fired, which is what I wanted to fire there. Okay, it's not linked into a lead yet, which would happen if I actually submit, but I can see that someone's gone through to the contact page, which is where I set that up, because I want to be able to track that on Facebook and see where people are going through our funnel. Okay, so you've got the different pages listed out on the left, and you can see what has fired and what hasn't. So that's an overview of Google Tag Manager. This is just the first video. I will do multiple videos explaining exactly how to set up certain specific tags on Google Tag Manager. I'll also do more advanced videos in terms of how to set up different triggers, different variables, different templates, and things like that. I want to keep this video fairly short and actionable and just give you an introduction to the platform. Please drop any comments in the description. Please like the video and subscribe. It really helps me out. I will get back to you in terms of any comments that you leave. And if you'd like to book a call with me to discuss anything related to Tag Manager, marketing in general, we run a marketing agency. We specialize in generating clients revenue using paid media. And if you want to have a conversation about how we can help you with, like I say, either the tracking implementation and or a full marketing service, please click the link in the description to book a call with me, and we can see if what we offer is a good fit for you. Thank you very much.